Dave, there's something of a split emerging where you are as these talks on the Schengen zone continue. Just what is being discussed and what is at stake?
Yeah, what looks like is going to happen today is that the countries are going to vote to give the thumbs up to Croatia, but the thumbs down to Bulgaria and Romania. And this would essentially mean Croatia leapfrogging those two countries because Romania and Bulgaria joined the EU way earlier than Croatia. They joined in 2007. Croatia didn't join until 2013. Now, every country that joins the EU must eventually join the Schengen area, but they have to meet certain conditions before they're allowed to do so. Some countries like Ireland and the UK were given exemptions to that. But the European Commission says that all three of these countries have met the conditions to join Schengen, but there are several countries in Europe's north that are concerned about this, particularly the Netherlands and Austria, who say that they are not comfortable having Bulgaria and Romania police the EU's external borders. And so that's really the difference here between Croatia and Bulgaria and Romania. Bulgaria and Romania sit at what is traditionally considered the EU's external borders that most people believe will be the EU's external borders probably forever. That Bulgaria has a border with Turkey and Romania has a border with Moldova and then on to Ukraine, kind of facing Russia, whereas Croatia has a border with Western Balkan countries, Serbia, Bosnia, Montenegro, which are slated to eventually join the EU. So that's kind of the difference in perception here. There's also a difference in economics. Croatia is a little bit more developed than Bulgaria and Romania. But essentially, this is these northern countries saying they don't trust Bulgaria and Romania to police their own external border. So to use an analogy here, this would be like if in the US they entrusted the policing of the US-Mexico border to individual states, to Arizona, to Texas. There are a lot of people in the northeast of the US that wouldn't be comfortable with that. Of course, that isn't the situation. There is a federal border force in the US. The EU does have a border a federal border force, if you will, called Frontex, but it is very tiny and it's essentially not really given the access to these borders. It is still these frontline states that control the borders. And so when you grant accession to one of these peripheral EU countries, especially a country that has such a problematic border as the one with Turkey, it becomes very controversial. We'll see. The Commission wanted all three to be approved as a package. So if they do this piecemeal approach, it could be rejected by the Commission and the Commission may say, okay, nobody joins then. So we'll see what happens today.
Now, Dave, the hot potato key issue that lies beneath this whole surface is the question of migration into the EU and how that might be affected by these suggested changes.
Yeah, there's this increase in migrant traffic on the so-called Western Balkan route that is hanging over all of these discussions. I mentioned that border between Bulgaria and Turkey. The reason that border is so problematic is because it is a very, very heavy migrant transit route. And recently, they've seen the migrant numbers through that route pick up. There's been a lot of attention on the Mediterranean and the charity boats rescuing migrants in the Mediterranean, but actually that route isn't picking up as much as the Balkan route. It is that land crossing through the Balkans that has really, really picked up and is far more than the Mediterranean route. And so that is coloring all of this. The countries are saying, look, especially right now when this is such a concern, we can't be entrusting Romania and Bulgaria to police the borders. That is Austria's objection. So Austria specifically has already made clear this morning they will not vote for Romania and Bulgaria to join the Schengen area. It does need unanimity, so they can veto this because essentially Austria right now is one of these, not quite peripheral, but it is right on the edge, right? And so they can control borders in a way that they couldn't if they'd be giving that border control over to Bulgaria and Romania, and they need further trust. But of course, the Balkan countries feel very offended by this. They feel that they are not really being treated as equals here, and that a lot of the rhetoric coming from the north is simply not true. For instance, they were very, very angry by a Dutch comment just last week that said people can basically bribe their way across the Bulgaria-Turkish border. That caused a huge rebuke in Bulgaria. So this is a very sensitive topic.
Okay, Dave Keating, our correspondent there in Brussels, thank you very much.